This has been a long time coming for me. For the past year, I've been making rankings on what was previously my second favorite game series of all time, which has now been overtaken by Crash Bandicoot. But now that that chapter of my channel is over, for now, it's finally time for me to talk about my favorite game series of all time. This is the best platforming series of all time, in my opinion. Better than Mario, better than Sonic, better than Mega Man, better than Wario Land, better than Yoshi's Island, better than Crash Bandicoot, better than Spyro, and maybe, just maybe, better than Bubsy. I love all five games. Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest, Donkey Kong Country 3 Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. All five of these games are not only amazing, but they're all in my top 50 favorite games. Not even all Punch-Out games are in my top 50 favorite games. Regardless, I'll make that video later when I've finally played Funny Sexy Genie game. Regardless, over the course of the summer, I thought it would be fun to go through the original trilogy and rank all the levels. And if I have time, yeah, I'll do the Retro Duology as well. I'll do it anyway, regardless, but I just can't promise they'll be covered during summer. Anyways, let's start with the first game. Donkey Kong Country 1 is a legendary game. The graphics were ahead of their time, the levels all feel distinct, the music is stellar, and this game is pretty damn hard. Good graphics, distinct levels, stellar music, and ball-busting difficulty. All things I love in games. Why do you think my second and third favorites game series are Crash Bandicoot and Punch-Out? Anyways, while this game is probably my least favorite of the series due to suffering from first game syndrome, it's still a really great game. There are certainly things I don't like about the game, but overall, it's solid. So today, we're going to go through every single level and rank them all from worst to best, going off of things like flow, difficulty relative to where it is in the game, secrets, and a bit of vibes and atmosphere. So, without further ado... I don't think I really need to explain why Poison Pond is at the bottom of the list, but for anyone who needs an explanation, I guess I'll give it. First of all, it's a water level, so we're not off to a great start. Second of all, the enemy placement is absolutely awful, with the bite sizes and the mincers coming from off screen and either smacking you in the face or forcing you to just stop and wait. It's also one of the longest damn levels in the game, with a successful run taking about 6 minutes if you don't use shortcuts. But On Guard is in this level, I hear you say. Doesn't he make the level better? Well, I have two things to tell you. One, if you want him in the first half of the level, you have to swim through an invisible wall. Two, no, he doesn't make the level better, since he doesn't counter the mincers, which are the most common enemy in this level. As for secrets, water levels don't have any, but what they do have is collectibles, and all of the collectibles are either not worth collecting, or are locked behind invisible walls. And you want to know the worst part? This last corridor. This corridor is literally just bite sizes spammed about with no care or consideration for the actual level. It feels like it was just made just to pad out the length. The only thing I somewhat like about this level is the atmosphere, but aside from that, this level's trash. I think Drip Drop described this level perfectly.
You can find someone that will disagree with everything. Everything. You can think of the most sinister, vile thing ever, and someone will support it. This level is an exception. If someone were to say that they liked this level, a black hole in the time-space continuum would form, destroy our entire universe, and make a new one, getting rid of that person. You cannot exist in a universe where someone likes this level. That's how shit it is. This is terrible.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Drip Drop. F tier level, moving on. Speaking of terrible levels, Elevator Antics is horrible. The first half has some awful enemy placement with mini Neckies spammed everywhere. They also force you to go through these holes tighter than mine before Slippas spawn from dumb drums. And you can't do anything to escape! And that's only the first half of the level. The second half has you dealing with these annoying lines of platforms that go up and down. The problem is, these things are really janky. So say a platform comes down, and you jump to land on it. If that platform goes off screen for even a singular nanosecond, it'll despawn and you'll fall to your death. It doesn't help that this second half has incredibly annoying jumps as well as incredibly annoying clumps. I don't hate this level as much as Poison Ponds, and some of the jumps are pretty fun, but I still don't like it. We're not out of bad levels yet, but we're at least out of levels that make me mad. Very Naughty's Lair is pretty self-explanatory as to why it's here. Of all the 5 games, this first game easily has the worst bosses, as all of them are upscaled enemies, and the easiest is Very Naughty's Lair. This is the first boss, and all he does is slowly jump from side to side. Just jump on him 5 times and you win. Yeah, I guess he'll slowly get faster as he jumps around, but he doesn't get nearly fast enough to be a threat. On the topic, Really Naughty Rampage is here too. He's exactly the same, except he jumps slightly faster, and when you hit him, he'll do a giant jump with invincibility frames. He'll do this once for every time you hit him, so if you hit him 3 times, he'll do this giant jump 3 times. That said, he's still way too easy, especially for being in Gorilla Glacier, which is infamous for being a hard world. Oh, and speaking of bosses...
Aw, nuts! I'm all out of nuts!
Number 36 is Necky's Nuts. Why are you looking at me like that? This is the boss of Monkey Mines, and for being such a great world, yeah, this boss sucks. All Master Necky does is poke his head out into the arena and spit out a nut, hence the name. Use the tire to jump on his head 5 times and you win. It's also incredibly easy, but it's at least more fun than the Naughty Twins. Oh, speaking of which, much like the Naughty Twins, he has a recolor. Necky's Revenge has you going up against Master Necky Sr. He's exactly the same, except he can shoot more nuts the more you hit him, which means the fight will last about 30 seconds rather than 15, and, get this, he's purple! Why aren't you clapping? He's probably the hardest boss we've seen thus far, but he's still way too easy for being the boss of the Vital World. Can you imagine if King K. Rool wasn't in this game and it just ended on Master Necky Sr.? People wouldn't remember this game nearly as fondly. I think there would be riots.
I mean, it's alright, like...
Oh, you thought we were done with bosses. Oh, you silly, you fool, you absolute buffoon.
Imbeciles! Fools! Nincompoops!
Bumblebee Rumble is what most consider the best non-K. Rool boss in Donkey Kong Country, and while she's very close to that title, I personally prefer a different boss. Basically, what this boss consists of is you throwing barrels at Queen Bee, and in between hits, she'll fly around rapidly. It's a really basic and easy boss, but it also feels the most like a boss out of any boss in the game that isn't the sexy crocodile. Regardless, I still have one non-K. Rool boss I like more. Alright, after this, I promise we're done with bosses until King K. Rool. Boss Dumdrum is an enemy rush boss. In between trying to sit on you, he'll summon pairs of enemies, starting with basic critters, then slippas, then claptraps, then clumps, then armadillos. Now, I know a lot of people really hate enemy rush bosses, but I don't. This boss is honestly pretty fun. I also know a lot of people don't like how Dumdrum just kills himself at the end, but even disregarding the fact that the GBA port fixes that, even in the original, it's honestly not that big of a deal. If I were to give any constructive criticism for this boss, I would say that this boss would be a lot better if Dumdrum tried slamming you while enemies are already on the field. But even considering what we have, it's probably the best boss in the game. Well, you know, aside from the obvious.
My crown is in the Forbidden Shell City!
Clam City is a water level. Already not off to a great start. Regardless, how's the level design? It's not great. The parts with the titular clams are good, since their attacks are both telegraphed and fun to avoid. However, when the clams aren't on screen, the gameplay goes downhill. The hallways just have bite sizes spammed about, and while it's not nearly as bad as in Poison Pond, it's still not that fun. That said, the clams are still fun to avoid, and I wish that they populated these hallways rather than the bite sizes, since their turret-esque style makes them pretty fun to avoid.
Boring.
Listen, there are certain types of levels in video games that I will defend into the ground. Some of which we've already seen, some of which we will see later. Water levels, enemy rush bosses, boss rush levels, vehicle levels, dark levels, and auto-scrollers. What these level types all have in common is that they swing really hard, so if they hit, they hit, which we'll actually see later on this list. There can be good auto-scrollers. That said, Trick Track Trek is not one of them. It's extremely boring, and while there's occasionally enemies that try to fall on you, that's only in the second half. The first half is mostly what people think of when they hear the word auto-scroller. Long, boring, minimal gameplay, etc. Well, it's not a bad level necessarily, it's definitely a mid-level. Triple entry alert. I repeat, triple entry alert. Now, it might seem weird to group up Winky's Walkway, Bouncy Bonanza, and Rope Bridge Rumble, but these levels have a lot in common. 1, they all have Winky, 2, they all have a lot of enemy spam, and 3, they're all kinda unmemorable. But let's focus on those points a bit more. Winky is a very fun animal buddy, but aside from him, these levels don't have much memorable aside from the enemy spam. With Winky's Walkway, it's Naughties coming out of Dumb Drums. With Bouncy Bonanza and Rope Bridge Rumble, it's bouncing critters and zingers. All 3 of these levels feel like bridge levels. You play them to get to better levels. They serve their purpose, but ultimately don't stick in your mind. Going in order from worst to best, the order would be Winky's Walkway due to the fact that it's less than a minute long, then Bouncy Bonanza due to the fact that it has a split path halfway through and I don't really like that, then Rope Bridge Rumble. Anyways, on to B2. Wait a minute, was this crack in the wall always here? Hey, this looks like the entrance to a bonus room. So during the course of this video, as well as the rest of these videos, I'll be putting all the animal buddies in a tier list of their own, and Winky is a good place to start given he's a very basic animal buddy, just allowing you to jump higher. Yeah, he's not as good as his successor, but he's still good. I think he's a perfect middle of the road B tier. And speaking of B tier...
Nice.
Hello, how are you? I am under the water.
Coral Capers is the first water level in the game, and it serves its purpose well, introducing the basic aquatic enemies, giving you some side paths to get collectibles, and introducing you to On Guard. Now, On Guard's the homie. It's a good level that I admittedly don't have a lot to say about. The enemy placement is good, the collectibles are good, the length... well, admittedly the length leaves a bit to be desired. Regardless, it's still a good level, and a good introduction to the ultimately subpar water levels. What isn't subpar is On Guard, which leads into the bonus tier list again, and On Guard is one I was conflicted on. On one hand, he makes the water levels amazing, especially in the sequels, since he's given a new charge ability, but on the other hand, he's only usable in the water levels, so B tier or A tier? Well, due to how iconic he is, I think it's only fair to give him A tier. Good job, On Guard. Also, I'm surprised that he was the only animal buddy to make it through all 3 original games, and yet they didn't bring him back. And no, Squawks doesn't count. He was very different in DKC 1 compared to DKC 2 and 3. Oh, and speaking of which... Torchlight Trouble is a dark level. Once again, already not off to a great start. But hey, I like dark levels. Hey, did you see my lights out and fumbling in the dark tag? You should know that. So, what do you use to light your way? Well, you use yet another animal buddy, and probably the worst one in the whole game, mainly due to the fact that this is the only level he appears in. Now, what he does is hold a light for you. That's literally it. Well, that's fine, I suppose. Oop, I missed a banana bunch back there. I need to turn around. Yeah, I don't like Squawks at all. He's fine in the Switch Online version of the game, but in the original, he flashbangs you every time you try to turn around. So why is this level in B tier? Well, the level itself is actually pretty fun. It uses the mincers, sure, but the enemy and hazard placement is actually good. The level is also way too short, but like, that applies to a lot of levels in DKC1. That said, where would I put Squawks on the tier list?
No, 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 no. Wait. Wait.
Your ID so
You're probably not even fully human, is he? You probably reptilian, ain't you?
Speaking of levels that are way too short, Reptile Rumble is the first cave level in the game, and it's decently fun. Granted, it's a bit spammy with the enemies, but that's the main reason why it's up here, the enemies. The enemies make the level flow very well. Bouncing around in this level is honestly more fun than Bouncy Bonanza. I also think it's neat how you enter the level on one side of the cave and exit on the other. That's a really neat detail, and I like it. Although I don't really have much else to say about this one, so moving on, I suppose.
Monkey.
Orangutan Gang has one of the most interesting and unique enemies in the whole game, Manky Kong. He's a reference to the original Donkey Kong where he'll throw barrels down slopes. Not sure DK likes it so much when he's on the receiving end. Regardless, the level also has some metal barrels for you to clear out the Manky Kong's barrels, which is very smart. It also has another animal buddy, Espresso, who probably is the most forgettable animal buddy in the series. That said, he's still fun to use. He's fast, agile, and can glide. The only thing I don't like about him is that he can't jump on enemies and doesn't really have an attacking move at all. But he's still pretty fun to use, so B tier. The only problem with this level is the absolutely atrocious bonus room placement. But aside from that, it's a pretty good level. Also, that sunset in the background is beautiful, but I think that goes without saying.
I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden.
Hot take time. I think Jesus fucking Christ. I think Croctopus Chase is a good level. Now, a lot of people seem to disagree, but I think it has the best everything of all the water levels. Best enemy placement, best secret placement, best flow, best scenery, and unlike all the other water levels, it doesn't have a single hallway spammed with bite sizes. In fact, there are no bite sizes in the entire level at all, which is an easy culprit for this being the best water level. I also think the titular Croctopi are very fun to outrun, and it makes the level pretty stressful. The only thing I don't like about this level is that On Guard is only available extremely late into the level, which, yeah, I get it, he would have made the level way too easy, but without him, it makes the level feel extremely long, even though Poison Pond is much longer. That said, it's still a fun level and is easily the best water level in the game. Not that that was a high bar to pass. Slip Slide Ride is definitely the most unique level in the game, having a unique setting, theme, and gimmick. The gimmick is these blue and purple ropes which make you go up and down while climbing them. The problem is the enemy placement in this level is not great. Some of these zingers are especially poorly placed. Oh, also, ice physics. The only reason it's this high is that the highs of this level outweigh the lows, with some of the sections, especially early in the level, being pretty fun. Forest Frenzy is the second of the 3 auto-scroller levels on this list, and unlike the other two which take place on platforms, this one takes place on vines, which makes obstacles fun to avoid. The part with the neckies is especially stressful. Seriously, my cheeks clench every time I get here. This is the kind of thing that makes you go from the relaxed position to the locked-in position. The main part about this level I don't like is, funnily enough, the parts that aren't auto-scrollers. All these sections are just enemy spam with the jumping critters. The secret placement is also not great, but it's not nearly as bad as Orangutan Gang. Aside from that one barrel in the necky section, I'm already stressed out enough. Don't make me try and look out for a barrel. Overall, while the non-auto-scroller parts are not great, the auto-scroller parts are really fun, and if every part was as good as the climax, it would easily be an A tier. Hell, maybe an S tier. On the topic of forest levels, Vulture Culture is the other forest level, and as the name suggests, it features a lot of vultures. To be fair, the Neckies are pretty fun enemies, and the level uses them in a lot of creative ways, like using them as bounce pads out of the barrels and forcing you to pass by at the right time, while they also try to hit your face with their nuts. It also has some neat barrel gameplay, with you having to use Neckies to gain height, or you having to get around zingers. The only reason I don't have this level higher is because it doesn't change much from start to finish, but at least what we have from start to finish is good, even if it doesn't change all too much. If you don't count bosses, this level is the first appearance of Chimp Caverns on this list. Tanked Up Trouble takes the gimmick of Trick Track Trek and injects some stress into it, but only in the second half. Much like Trick Track Trek, the first half of this level is mostly what people think of when they hear the word auto-scroller, but thankfully the second half absolutely carries this level. The main gimmick of this level is that the platform from Trick Track Trek returns, but now requires fuel. So rather than just sitting on a platform for 3 minutes, you now need to go out of your way to grab fuel canisters, otherwise you're dead. And aside from a few exceptions, you can't miss a single fuel canister. They're all pretty much required to survive. The best part of this level, without a shadow of a doubt, is the part where the fuel canisters only give you 1 fuel point, and by the time you reach this part, the platform is already going to be low on fuel, so you'd better be on your toes, otherwise that platform is gone. It's a genuinely good level, and while the first half does drag it down a lot, if the entire level were as good as the second half, this would be an easy S tier, no doubt.
Even the babies are one of the most dangerous animals in the world, so I built this cage to keep them secure so there's no possible— oh my god.
Manic Mincers is the best cave level in the game, and while that isn't as low of a bar as Croctopus Chase being the best water level, it's still not a particularly high bar. That said, I still think this level has a lot of good things about it, like the fact that it's the first level on this list to feature the best animal buddy in the game, Rambi. However, this is the worst level to use him. Why? Well, because the level doesn't really work with him. He doesn't counter the mincers, so he just gives you a bigger hitbox. Fun. Disregarding that though, the level itself is pretty fun, with the platforming around the mincers being fun with or without Rambi. Although other times, the mincer placement gives me Poison Pond vibes. Actually, not even vibes, more PTSD and Winter Soldier moments. But aside from that, the main problem is that this level would be better without Rambi. Rambi is big and heavy, and that doesn't work with some of the platforming you have to do. But does that drag down my love for Rambi? Absolutely not. Rambi allows you to tear through everything, and that feeling of tearing through everything was so much fun, it became part of Donkey Kong as a whole. So for that reason alone, easy S tier.
Like the snow?
No.
Why not? Can you say snow?
You know, isn't it crazy that the snow levels are the best part of the snow world? What? Gorilla Glacier doesn't have a great lineup of levels, but the 2 snow levels it has are easily the best part of it. And the worst of these 2 levels is Ice Age Alley. This level doesn't really have a main focus, and that leads to it being very varied. It has mini Neckies, Mangy Kong, swinging ropes, and Espresso. And while this isn't the best level with Espresso, it definitely makes it on the podium. He makes it so that the ice physics are nullified and allows you to glide over the entire level. While he does make the level a bit easy, that's the charm of it, and even if you decide to not use Espresso, the level is still really fun, with the Manky Kongs especially being really fun and challenging to avoid. There's also a point where you can ride a metal barrel and tear through a good chunk of the level, and that's something I always like to do in levels. This is also one of the few levels with actually good bonus room placement. While this level is not nearly as good as the other snow level in the game, it's still really fun, if not a bit unfocused at times.
Hamster.
Millstone Mayhem is admittedly a simple level, but that doesn't make it a bad level. First of all, let me get this out of the way. The temple theme is one of the best from the first game atmosphere-wise, and I honestly wish it appeared more. Anyways, on to gameplay. The main gimmick on show here is these knotties and wheels that move back and forth, and while they're a simple gimmick, the level utilizes them well. This level also has the exact length the level warrants, and that makes it a great standard for other levels.
Oh no, I missed.
Misty Mines is one of the most atmospheric levels in the whole game. The ambient fog combined with the great music makes it feel like you're being lured into some sort of trap. That said, when it comes to the actual gameplay, this level could use some work. The level mainly just consists of enemies coming out of dumb drums. It's not unfun, it's just uninspired. Does that make the level bad? Hell no, it's still a good level, and really exemplifies the vibes and atmosphere this game is great at. That said, I don't really have a lot more to say. It's probably the level I have the least to say about on this whole list, admittedly.
Did I hear oil?
And for our final level of B tier, we have Oil Drum Alley. Oil Drum Alley introduces what is easily the best theme in the game, as well as the best song in the game. The first half of this level is amazing, featuring some very good flowing gameplay with you bouncing on enemies while avoiding the titular oil drums. Some of the enemy bouncing is especially fun, but after the checkpoint, the level forces you to start platforming on the oil drums. Some of these parts are fun, while others just force you to stop and wait. The second half of this level is very stop-go, which is a hell no. I also hate Rambi in this level. Not so much that he's here, but more where he's placed. In order to get him, you just need to fall into a random hole, and while he does make the Manky Kongs in the second half much easier to deal with, is it worth it? That said, even with all these flaws, this level is still good. Now, on to A tier.
Nightlight out. Lights on. Lights on. Lights on, lights on, lights on, lights on, lights on!
Loopy Lights is a very frustrating level. It's very fun as is, but it could be a lot more fun. The main gimmick on show here is the barrels that turn on and off the lights. It also has a unique enemy, the purple claptraps who jump when you jump. These two gimmicks are fun on their own, but you want to know what enemy would have been better to have in this level? The Rock Crocs. This level has always lived in the shadow of Stop and Go Station, which is a shame because this level's layout could have very well suited the Rock Crocs. As fun as this level is, the Rock Croc gimmick is just so much more interesting, and it makes this level so much less memorable than Stop and Go Station. So why don't we move on to a level that's much more memorable?
Welcome to the jungle!
Jungle Hijinks is the most important level in the entire series. It introduces the main characters and mechanics of the game, gives you some context clues as to what the story is, and introduces you to the animal buddies. It does all of these things perfectly, and while it is a very short and easy level, that was perfect for a first level. And if that was all this level had, it would be one spot lower and in B tier. But what bumps this level up to A tier is the end of the level. The scenery changes to nighttime, and it stays nighttime when you go back through the level. No other game was doing this, I think. Regardless, Rareware did a great job making a great first level, as well as a level that leads perfectly into...
Rope?
No.
Rope?
You already offered that, no.
Rope?
As good as Jungle Hijinks is at being a first level, Ropey Rampage is just as good at being a second level. Ropey Rampage introduces ropes and forces you to use them to progress. It also introduces some new enemy types, the main ones being the Zingers and the Armadillos. But what this level also does is make a very fun and well-flowing challenge, really showing that this game won't just hand you the win like Mario. And while the level isn't Kaizo levels of difficulty, it's still a very fun challenge and feels rewarding to beat. A truly great level, but not quite worthy of top 10 status. Temple Tempest is a genius level. It takes the already established gimmick of the naughties in the wheels and puts them in a new context. What's that context, you may ask? Yeah, that's right, we're getting Indiana Jones up in this bitch. Now, while these wheels may be very slow, the fact that you're getting chased at all really brings in some much appreciated tension. That said, while this level does flow really well, it is incredibly short and easy. A full run of this level only takes a little more than a minute, and if you get Espresso, it becomes trivial. Oh, and speaking of well-flowing levels that are way too easy...
Mickey on a railway picking up stones.
Minecart Madness is the first level on this list to introduce the best playstyle in the whole series, the minecart. The minecart essentially turns the level into an auto-scroller while you quickly zoom along the track, narrowly avoiding tightly placed enemies and hazards. There are two types of minecarts in this game, and Minecart Madness takes place in the kind of minecart you jump out of rather than jump with. And while I do prefer the levels where you jump with the minecart, this style is still fun. That said, the obstacles in this level are just so easy to avoid, and while the other minecart level has some very stressful jumps over pits and some incredibly fast crashes, this level takes all of that and makes them piss easy to avoid. The level literally just said, yeah, remember how we had a bunch of amazing obstacles that flowed perfectly and made for a top 3 level? Yeah, let's take all of that and either remove it or make it piss easy. Okay, maybe I'm being a little mean, so let me talk about what I like about this level. Minecart levels, by their nature, are just such an awesome change of pace, and it makes them incredibly fun, if not a little jarring. The jumps around the zingers are also fun, and the collectibles are especially well placed, aside from that one above the screen. I may be clowning on it, but I cannot stress enough, this is a good level. It just doesn't live up to the extremely high standards of minecart levels.
Wait, I've got an idea. What if we shoot Midget Apple out of a cannon? I had that same idea!
Aside from jungle hijinks, Barrel Cannon Canyon was easily the most important level to get right, as it introduces the most reoccurring gimmick in the entire series, the titular barrel cannons. Before we even get into those, however, we need to discuss the parts of the levels that don't use the barrel cannons. And even when the barrel cannons aren't the main focus of the level, the gameplay is still the best of the first world. That said, when the barrel cannons are on screen, the level is even better. First of all, they introduce the barrels in very well, requiring you to use them to get over a pit and across a wall. What the fuck? First of all, they introduced the barrels very well, requiring you to use them to get over a wall and across a pit, before then making them move at a slow, bearable speed. After that, and another enemy section, they finally let loose, and trust you to use your knowledge of the barrels to do a somewhat difficult section. This level introduces the gimmick and escalates it well. It even allows you to take some shortcuts to skip almost the entire level. So why is this level not an S tier? Well, simply put, it's the first barrel level, so it kinda has to be basic and easy. That said, we'll get considerably better examples of barrel cannon levels. Speaking of... Treetop Town is another barrel level, and it has some much harder gameplay, allowing you to rapid fire through barrels and make shots through auto barrels. So why is this level not an S tier? Well, the falling enemies kinda drag this level down a bit. Now, does it drag the level down to being anything other than great? Of course not. It's still at number 7. That said, it still can't go any higher. Simple mistakes can be the difference between spots on rankings, especially when you make it this high.
Now, what would a platform game be without platforms?
Platform Perils is the final level of the game, and boy, what a final level it is. Immediately when you start the level, a gray Crusha is thrown at you. Remember these guys from Millstone Mayhem and Trick Track Track? How annoying it was that Diddy Kong couldn't jump on them? Well, what if Donkey Kong couldn't jump on them either? In order to kill these guys, you have to use barrels. But hey, it's not like that will come to bite us in the ass later, so let's just grab the barrel that spawns right beside us and move on. The main export here is the titular platforms, and while these platforms aren't a very unique gimmick, they're still a fun one, and are used in interesting ways. This level also has the armadillos, and they are absolutely ruthless in this level. What else could this level possibly do to be harder? Well, I guess it could be harder if they combined the platforms with the enemies, but they would never do that. Oh god, why? The final part of this level has you riding across the platforms while using barrels to clear out gray Crushas, and if you make one mistake, you are gone. This level has a very good argument to be the hardest level in the game, and while it doesn't earn that title for me, it really tries. The only reason it's not an S tier is because of this one part right here where the platform goes up and you have to throw the barrel backwards. Everyone is gonna die on this part at least once purely due to not knowing what the hell to do. That said, it's still an amazing final level to the game and really tests your platforming skills for one last absolute gauntlet. Although now that I'm saying that out loud, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, right, what's a great final level without a great final boss? Well, it's Mario Wonder, but regardless... This fight has been discussed to death. Anybody familiar with Donkey Kong or Smash Bros. Has definitely seen this fight. It has a very good argument to be crowned the most iconic fight in the series. King K. Rool is an absolute masterclass in boss design, at least for the time. A lot of boss fights at the time, even final boss fights, were incredibly underwhelming, so when this game came along, it absolutely blew all of them out of the water. King K. Rool is such a great boss design. He's both comical and intimidating, which was a perfect choice for Donkey Kong Country, and whether or not you like the fight, you have to admit that his presence commands respect. Now, before I talk about the gameplay, let me talk about the atmosphere. The song in the background is an absolute banger. It's one of the best songs in a game where all the main songs are already great. And on top of that, DK Island being in the background is absolutely perfect. It really goes to show just how high stakes this battle is. While the music may not set the most serious tone, you have to remember that you're fighting to save your main food source. Enough glazing though, the fight itself is admittedly pretty basic, featuring King K. Rool simply running around in his first phase and summoning cannonballs in his second phase. That said, while the cannonball attack does make the fight drag a bit, the running attack does have some neat mechanics to it for how simple the attack is from a concept standpoint. He'll mix in his speeds to try and fake you out, and even when he chooses to move at his primary speed, that's not a problem considering his primary speed is lightning. You also can't just jump on him whenever you want, as his crown makes him completely invulnerable to jump attacks, so you can only jump on him when he throws his crown at you like a boomerang. That said, after 7 hits, he finally goes down, and after all of that, you can finally put your controller down and watch the credits roll. Yeah, coding, Claptrap, yeah, you did a good job. Characters, Crusha, yeah, you did a great job too. Coloring, Critter, yeah, the colors really pop out. Concept, Clump, Commander, King K. Rool, the end. Question mark? The fuck you mean question mark? What? Yes, you just saw that right. This 1994 Super Nintendo Entertainment System game just pulled a credits fake out, something that was absolutely alien for video games at the time. While this wasn't the first game to do this since Dinosaurs for Hire had done it 1 year earlier, this is the moment that absolutely defined K. Rool's character. He's not some demon or monster like Ganon, Dracula, or Dark Matter. He's not some mad doctor like Robotnik or Wily. He's not some creature with a hatred for humanity like Mewtwo or Gygus. And most of all, he's not some cookie-cutter loser like Bowser. He's the king of the Kremlings. He demands respect, and if you do not give it to him, he will do everything in his power to kill you where you stand. This moment was legendary when I first got to it. I was absolutely stunned, as well as a little mad since I immediately died, and it sucks that anyone who plays this game now will have that legendary moment stolen from them, since they probably already know about it beforehand. I'm sorry I've been talking about this fight for so long, but I can't help it. It genuinely blew me away when I first played it, and honestly, I don't think the series would have been as good if K. Rool wasn't in it. He's not only my favorite villain in all of gaming, or my favorite villain in all of fiction, he's my favorite character in all of fiction, and this fight perfectly sums up why. They made an absolutely iconic fight that was good back in the 90s, is good now in the 2020s, and will be good even in the 2050s. It's a truly amazing battle. We're still not in S tier yet.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
You missed! How could you miss? It was 3 feet in front of you!
Here it is. This right here, Snow Barrel Blast, is easily the most divisive level in the game. Some people say it's the best level in the entire game, while others say this level keeps them up at night with how bad it is. And back when I made the first tier list for this video, I had Snow Barrel Blast in D tier, right above Necky's Revenge. But now that I've played a lot more, and I've had some convincing from my friend Drip Drop, I now see how good this level truly is. The barrels combined with the snow makes for such a good combo, and the zingers guarding the barrels make this the hardest level in the entire game. Even before that part though, this level is still really good with the zingers guarding the platforms and the neckies making for both obstacles and boosts. That said, that's just the first half of the level. The second half of the level has the snow getting much heavier, which is not good for you considering you're about to do the hardest barrel gameplay in the whole game. This final section has you dealing with fast spinning barrels with zingers around them, while the snow is still obstructing your vision. You can even get a 3-up balloon if you get to the end of this final section fast enough. It's an absolutely amazing level, but it's not the best, mainly due to the presence of ice physics making a few jumps in the first half pretty annoying, but overall this is easily the best level in Gorilla Glacier. Blackout Basement is the final level on this list to play with lighting, and considering it's at number 3, needless to say, I think it's the best one. The level has you going through Funtime Auditorium from Sister Location, with the lights going on and off. Now, this gimmick on its own wouldn't be enough to carry the level, but it just so happens that the level the gimmick belongs to is absolutely amazing, with small platforms, swinging ropes, and even Manky Kongs. They work really well with the light gimmick, and I absolutely love how you can blitz through the level if you know it well enough. It's an absolutely genius level with great platforming and a great gimmick, making it the best level in the worst world of the game. So, with that said, we've gone through all levels of 5 out of the 6 worlds, with only Monkey Mines remaining, and I think you all know what levels are left.
Hey, Cartage, do you know Candace?
When you think of the most iconic Donkey Kong Country level, what do you think of? A lot of you probably default to Jungle Hijinks, some of you probably think of Gangplank Galleon, some of you probably think of Coral Capers, the first water level, maybe some of you even think of Snow Barrel Blast. That said, when I think of Donkey Kong Country, there's one level that comes to mind, and that level is Minecart Carnage. When you think of Donkey Kong Country, you think of this level. It's so iconic that they made an entire theme park ride dedicated to it. Now, the main reason is because of how goddamn hard it is. It's one of the hardest levels in the whole game, especially considering how early on it is. Not only is it one of the hardest levels in the game, though, it's also one of the best levels. I cannot describe just how zany and fun the layout is, especially with the derailed minecarts and the crashes. Some of the pits in the first half really make you feel like you have to leap in order to make it across. Overall, it's an absolutely fantastic level, one of the best in the whole game. That said, there's one more level I like more. Can you guess what it is? Donkey Kong Country is an amazing game that deserves every single ounce of praise it's ever gotten. And while it's probably the worst of the country games, it's still an amazing game, and it has a certain something about it that no other game in the series can replicate. And the one level that exemplifies that more than anything is Stop and Go Station. I genuinely cannot describe how amazing this level is. The main gimmick is the loopy lights gimmick again, except instead of the barrels turning on the lights, they make certain enemies go to sleep. That enemy is the Rock Crocs. The Rock Crocs are genuinely the best enemy in the entire game. Full stop. Better than the Crushes, better than the Manky Kongs, and better than the Armadillos. These enemies are genuinely scary, and when you're forced to move past their lifeless bodies, it's genuinely so stressful. And on top of that, the level flows perfectly, with the last part especially being the single best part in the whole game. The only thing that would make Stop and Go Station better is more Stop and Go Station. This level is only a little less than 2 minutes, and just a minute or so more of this incredible level would have easily put it in P tier. I honestly wanted to put this level in P tier so badly, but after a lot of consideration, I just can't. That said, this level is still absolutely amazing, and is easily the best level in Donkey Kong Country. So that was the ranking. Here's my tier list. I genuinely love this game, and I absolutely cannot wait to rank the rest of the games. Also, I know this video was long, so as a thank you for making it this far, here's my tier list for the OST, as well as a free cookie. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, also, happy Father's Day. I don't know any of you or your relationships with your fathers, but my father is my inspiration, and my life wouldn't be nearly as good without him in it. Regardless, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye!